Hi guys, it's back to work again. I'm over here at Premium Coach Group in Gilbert, Arizona, and I'm working on inspecting a 2005 Newmar DutchStar. And we're going to take a look at the roof on this one. And I know we've done a lot of Newmars, but this is a different one. I'm going to call this a hybrid roof. This is a TPO membrane roof, but with metal radiuses. Newmar did this for a number of years, and finally they stopped. Let's go ahead and do the ladder. It feels nice and strong and sturdy. But if we look at the top right here, this is something Newmar did for almost 20 years. This is a metal radius, and this is TPO membrane. I believe this is actually a felt or fleece back TPO, so it's pretty strong, it's tear resistant. But then they picture frame it with this molding all the way around. It's very difficult to see, but it's actually a step down. So this membrane actually goes underneath the molding right there. And so it's difficult for water to get under there, but not impossible. You are just going to be using Dicor self-leveling roof sealant on this one. We'll check all that out. I don't see any sort of cracking right there. The rubber membrane doesn't look too bad. You have a sewer vent right there. Looks to be in good shape. Over here, we want to check the sides, make sure they haven't been cut. But like I said, this is going to be aluminum, and this aluminum wrap, and they actually seam it in a couple places. I'll try to show you where that's at. I got all four slide outs out on this one, and so we can inspect the slide outs there, and then we'll check the sealant right on the sides right there. Generally, what Newmar used right here, because this is paintable, is a Sikaflex paintable sealant. Now, I can't tell you why Newmar decided that on a really kind of a high-end diesel pusher like this, TPO was acceptable, but it was acceptable for, like I said, almost 20 years. They do have a tendency to have issues, though, with rot, if not properly maintained. So if you're ever going to get on the roof and inspect one of these, it's actually really important to walk everywhere on it, usually around the AC, because what Newmar used for decking on this is usually OSB. It's about 1/2 inch thick. It's pretty thick stuff. But if it does get rotten or get wet, it will start to fall apart and turn squishy pretty fast. So that's a good way of checking this, just by walking on it. Newmar also has the roof frame kind of tucked in between. So there's not any real structure on the inside of the ceiling if you try to screw anything to it, because it's really just thin, it's not even like paneling, it's like almost cardboard. So they get a nice, so the frame's pretty far back, so you have to get some pretty long screws if you want to hit framing. That way they have insulation on top, insulation underneath, and the frames in the middle prevents thermal bridging. So they do have a very thick roof, and it is well insulated. Maybe that's why they decided to try that, I don't know. So just like any RV roof, we want to go ahead and check the AC, make sure it's not loose. It feels good right here. Newmar also tends to have their AC screwed down from above with a air plenum box that will only work with one AC. So be careful about changing these things out to different manufacturers. Go ahead and check over here. This edge right there is just really just going to be silicone sealant if you needed to reseal it, but this again would be lap sealant, Dicor sealant there and there. Very rarely do they leak right here. Check our vents caps. Give it a good knock. If it's going to break, that would break it. They do tend to get brittle. Same with this sewer vent, just give it a tap. Right here you can see that one seam in the aluminum. So it's not just one piece of aluminum all the way right there. So there's a seam right, I'll show you up there, and then there's a seam right there. And then one long piece that way. So that one's probably almost 20 feet. That's why I would call this a hybrid roof. You have metal radiuses, but a membrane roof. Which is, the good news is that the radius is usually where they get torn from branches or overhangs, so you don't have to worry about that, because this is actually really thick aluminum. Of course, we got the refrigerator vent right there. We'll check and make sure it's not loose. Got another slide out topper right there. This little rubber flapper just shrunk up a little bit. That's really nothing vital, nothing I would worry about. And then this is just a little molding insert that was popping out. That's just decorative. We come over to this side. We want to take a look at the skylight. Come over to this side. This is actually the wind sensor for the Weather Pro awning, the Medic awning. Check the sealant on that. The skylight itself looks like it's cracking a little bit. Couldn't hurt to go ahead and clean and reseal this one. It's not a bad idea. I like to kind of like feel and make sure that they're not loose. But we'll go ahead and recommend resealing this one. That sewer vent looks pretty good right there. Go ahead and take a look over here. I'm not seeing anything worth seeing. We're looking really good. This thing is 16 years old now. This fantastic vent. I guess we can kind of see that flange is cracked a little bit right there, and that screw. I would probably want to put lap sealant on top of that screw, and that lap sealant right on that screw and that hole and that corner. Like I said, it's really important to walk the entire roof on these. You'll feel if the roof is rotten because it will just feel soft under your feet. A lot of times it's going to be next to the ACs, so you want to actually walk really close to the AC, and then we'll go ahead and check it that way. These are another one of those solar panel gimmicks right there. This is going to be on the dash. There's a little LED that lights up when it's charging. This does absolutely nothing. I would take that off and put a bigger one on if I actually wanted solar. So we have a Winegard road trip that replaced what looks to be like a KVH original satellite dish. The installation looks good, and they went ahead and sealed up the old holes. There's just a GPS antenna because this is an in-motion satellite dish. Now these can be programmed for DirecTV or Dish Network. So over-the-air antenna right here. I don't know if you guys can see something wrong here. This is what's called a bat wing. So we have one right there, but the other one is gone. So likely it bent back and then broke because these are aluminum. So we will recommend a new TV antenna head. Look over here. I'm not seeing anything wrong over here. This is going to be the fiberglass front cap. Don't want to walk on this one. And of course our air horns. Everybody likes the air horns. I'll just peer over just a little bit here. These clearance lights are pretty prone to cracking too, so always check those. All right, guys, so there was a 2005 Newmar DutchStar TPO roof with metal radiuses. We're still just going to use a Dicor sealant on the roof, silicone on the edge molding, and you can get away with either silicone or Sikaflex where the front and rear caps meet the metal radiuses. But this one looks pretty good. Just the skylight needs to be resealed. This fantastic vent right here, little touch up on some sealant, and the biggest thing is going to be that TV antenna head. We need to replace that. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope that helps somebody. Alright, I did go ahead and reseal that. Might as well as reseal that one too. And we put a new TV antenna on. This 2005 DutchStar roof is good again. So that's why I would call this a kind of a hybrid roof, because it is metal on this. Which is aluminum.